Anyway, appreciate you joining us, and I will pass it over to Sarah. Oh, one last thing. If you could please put your phones on mute, that would be great. I hear a little bit of feedback from somebody. And so if you put your phones on mute so it's not too distracting for all the listeners on board. Thank you very much. Sarah?
All right. Thanks, John. Thanks for the introduction. We are going to be talking about making a video on a shoestring budget. Hi, I'm Sarah Single, the creative director here at Goldstreet Design. So John mentioned this before. The presentation is really geared to people wanting to make their own videos. They don't have the budget dollars allocated to hire someone to produce it for them. So this is really doing it in-house. And here's our agenda. So we're going to go over why video is important in the first place. Why should you think about incorporating this into your public education and outreach strategy? And we'll do this by showing you tips on how to create the video on a shoestring budget. So we'll go into things like content, your camera choice, audio, the importance of audio, composition, how to frame a shot, the importance of lighting, and then finishing up with editing and enhancing your video. And then we'll go through a brief conclusion, and just like John said, we will open it up for discussion, questions, and show some examples of video after we get through the presentation. All right, so jumping into why video is important. Some of you may have heard of YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine on the web behind Google. It has now become the most powerful social media tool with over 1 billion users. And those 1 billion users are spending more than 1 billion hours of video. They're watching it online on YouTube every day alone. More and more people are choosing videos as the way they like to receive information. And 54% of consumers are saying they want to see videos from companies that they know. So making sure that you're Sorry about that. I was muted for a quick second. So I'll start over. 54% of consumers want to see videos from companies, especially companies that they know and work with. According to 2017 HubSpot research, video content was the most memorable media type in comparison to text and images, because videos have been proven to demand more consumer attention than any of the other media sources. Video also does a great job to build trust with your community, and it really humanizes your company. Content is really important. Viewers really want to be educated on topics. They want to go to a video to understand more about the topic that you're discussing. Video is not going to be going away. It's only becoming more and more prevalent each and every year. Video engages and inspires action and emotion. So audiences are more likely to share and engage with the social post, a video, than other social posts. There's so many ways to share your video. Over the past few years, it's become more and more easy to share your video with your audience. So you can share through adding it to your website. You can embed links of videos in your emails or digital newsletters. You can share through social networks like Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or you can purchase ad space through movie theaters and TV commercials. Nobody expects a perfect video all the time. Now, there is a time and a place where Hollywood productions or professional videos are going to be used, but today we're really discussing specifically creating a video without that sort of budget. So now that I've just given you lots of reasons why you should be thinking about video in your public education and outreach, let's dive into the different areas on how to create your video. So first up, we're going to talk about content. Video is a great way for breaking down complex points into bite-sized pieces that customers can relate to. So you want to teach them about your various action or your topic and where they can apply the information into their own life. We want to inspire them to share this with others. Literally, we want them to share this video with other people. So the quality of the content is very important. You want to think about your message. You want to define the message you want to convey. Think of this as telling a story, but we really want to keep it simple. The more informative the content, the better. Think of how-to videos, public notices, or service announcements, current improvements, and interviews within the community. Then I'd write out your ideas, and again, make sure you're writing out your ideas and keeping it short and conversational. Avoid using jargon that your community may not understand. Collaborate with others in the office to flesh out your ideas a little bit more. Then you want to prep your presenters before recording to avoid mistakes. So you want to work out their jitters, get them comfortable with the content that you're presenting, because once they do that, once you hear it out loud, you may need to rework some of the content to make sure it makes sense. So definitely take the time in the beginning to flesh out your ideas, put it out on paper, and then prep your presenters. Camera choice. So I'm sure all of you know that that handy little thing in your pocket that you use for pretty much everything nowadays can also shoot high quality video. So a few recommendations here. We do recommend an iPhone 6 or newer, or any of the newer Android phones, or also a newer GoPro. These have higher quality capabilities in their camera, so that's why we recommend those newer phones. Some tips when you are using your phone, make sure that you have enough storage. The worst thing would be right in the middle of your perfect interview, you get a little message saying that you're out of storage and you have to stop recording. Or your notifications turn on. So you get a little ding that you have lunch in 10 minutes. Make sure you turn off those notifications. And also clean off the lens. If there's a little smudge on there, you might be able to see it in the video, so make sure that's clean. And also hold the camera in a landscape orientation instead of a portrait. So it might seem a little bit awkward to do that, but we need to make sure it's in the landscape. You'll get a better video that way. Audio. Bad audio can ruin a video.
Yeah.
It's really hard for people to look past the distracting noises or if the audio doesn't match the mouth movements. It'll make people really disinterested and ultimately not watching the video all the way through. Remember that the microphone will pick up all of the excess noise that our ears naturally will tune out. So you might not even think of it as an issue, but when you go back to watch the video, you're going to hear all of these little excess noises. So some helpful tips when you're in the outdoors, be careful of all the background noises of being outside. So think of the wind if it's really windy, an airplane going over the top, trains, cars, children playing, and even animals. Make sure that you go to an area that has less people. But if you are in an environment that it's a little bit noisier, you can do a couple of things. One, move closer to the subject so the microphone will pick up more of what they're saying and less of the noise around. Or you can use two different phones. So you can use one to actually shoot the video and then one to use as a microphone. And then at the end, when you're in editing, you can put those two together. If you're going to be recording indoors, we recommend choosing a very quiet room to record in. Sometimes those quiet rooms may be small. So if you're in a small room, you want to hang some blankets on the walls or even on the floor to reduce some of the echo that can happen when you're talking in that room. Also, something you might not think about is to kill some other unwanted noise, such as the refrigerator running and air conditioning or background music that you might not hear, but we will definitely pick up on the video. So make sure to think of those things when you're working on the audio. Composition. Now, before you can even begin to think about the composition, you need to mount your phone to a tripod. There are lots of very inexpensive options on this, and this is going to stabilize the camera to avoid shaky video. It's very important. It's second to the bad audio. If it's super shaky, you might get people feeling a little nauseous, and then they're not going to want to watch your video. So once you get past that, once you get your phone on the tripod, you've figured out your camera, you've figured out what you want to talk about, you've brainstormed your ideas, then now you can frame your shot. So framing your shot, there's lots of different options that you can do. A very tried and true shot is to place the subject at a slight angle. So not right in the center of the frame, have them go to the side, either side. But we would like to have them look across the shot just like this photo below. So she's off to the right slightly, but she's looking back towards the left. And you can adjust how much of the subject you want to show. So in this example, they're showing just the shoulders, but you could go back and show more of a desk shot or even a full body shot. But when you are going in and out, we really want you to avoid using the zoom capability, and this is going to make the video seem blurry. So what we recommend is to physically move the camera closer or farther from your subject on that tripod. Also, when you're thinking about framing the shot, think about what the background looks like. So set the scene, a bookshelf, a nice brick wall, or even opting outside to the park with some bushes behind are great options for framing your shot. Lighting. We can all value some good lighting, especially when you're being recorded. First and foremost, we want to make sure that you adjust your lighting and your exposure in the phone settings. So you want to do this before you start filming. You don't want to adjust it while you're doing it on the actual video. So thinking about lighting and the best sorts of lighting, if you're going to be outdoors, sunlight is obviously a great source of lighting. An overcast day is actually perfect flat lighting for video and also photography in general. You won't have those shadows or any of those things, but it's a great natural light. There's also the golden hours of daylight, they call. So it's roughly an hour after sunset or an hour before, an hour before sunrise. Sorry, I need to fix that. And an hour after, an hour after sunrise and an hour before sunset, I need to fix that, are the golden hours of daylight. That's going to place your subject in the best lighting possible. We also want you to place the sun behind the subject, so you're going to backlight them to avoid a halo of light or any kind of shadows from the sun facing your direction. Now, if you're indoor and using light, we really want to make sure you avoid using the flashlight feature of the phone to brighten up the shot. It could look like a spotlight, and unless you're doing some sort of interrogation video, that's probably not the best option. And also make note, if you are mixing light sources indoors, so if you are using natural lighting from windows, make sure you turn off the lights in the room, because using natural lighting and fluorescent lighting can make the shot look orangish or greenish. So we want to make sure that you turn off that and just use one source of lighting. All right, so now we're going to talk about editing. We're almost done. So now you've done all the other work of putting your content together. You've got the video. You have all of the content. Now you need to put it together and make it look presentable. It's probably the hardest part of creating this video. You can do this on your iPhone. There are lots of free video editing apps, so you will need to download software to do this. But most of the apps are pretty user-friendly. And there's lots of free apps out there. I have a couple listed here. These were the Consumer Report top 4 free apps. Majesto, Adobe Premiere Clip. These work on both Android and Apple products, where Apple iMovie and GoPro Splice are compatible with Apple products only. Now, you can do this on your phone, like I had mentioned, but a preferred method would be actually download the software to your computer to edit. It's going to be much, much faster for you to edit your video on your desktop versus on your small iPhone or Android computer screen. And also, the apps that you have, they have a lot more robust tools on their desktop version versus their phone app. So definitely think about doing that when you're editing. Now that you're done, or maybe you haven't finished yet, but you definitely want to enhance your video. So you want to add a little bit of extra flair to it. Think about contacting someone who can help do that. Video enhancements can be very affordable, starting as low as $100. So maybe you need some help getting started with your video. You have an idea, but you need help with a script. Or you want to do something, but you're not sure which concept will resonate. You can definitely ask for some help to get started. Or the opposite, you might have your footage already completed. You might have done all the hard work, you framed your shot, you've got great audio, you have wonderful interviews, and you have lots of information and you don't have the time or the energy to put it together. Or you want to add music and graphics, or add some voiceovers, or splice together various different scenes. You can definitely enhance your videos after the fact. Okay, now that I've talked about everything, I'm going to kind of wrap it up in just a few short points here. So video is becoming more and more important each year. And I gave you statistics on YouTube earlier that there's 1 billion people using it. It is the second largest search engine tool, and that's just YouTube. So there's other ways to consume video on social sites, on websites, lots of different ways. So it's not going anywhere. And more people are picking this as their form to, their preferred method to receive information. So you really want to make sure that you're giving information in a way that people want to receive it. And also, it's really when they're watching a video, they're very in tuned. There's not lots of other things going on. They're not stopping reading something, 5 times. They're actually engaged watching the video. It's a great way to educate and inspire. So you can take a very complex topic and you can break it down into very small tidbit pieces of information that is going to educate and also inspire people, because you want to inspire action and get people to share your video or the knowledge that you're giving to everybody else. You can create a quality video using your phone. A lot of people are probably catching on to this now, but a lot of videos are being done now on phones. And it is a great way to get out quick information. If you have a quick tidbit of information, and I'll show some videos examples here in a little bit, it's a great way to get your information out quickly. And then also, if you want it to be a little bit more enhanced, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You can make your video a lot better with a very small budget in order to just enhance a few things and make it the best video that you can using your iPhone or Android. All right. Does anybody have any questions on anything that I've covered? Or does